Hey, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and today I want to talk to you about approaches to finding places to get published as an academic. So often, if you're a college instructor, there's this, tie-in of, hey, you better get published if you want to have an academic job after you finish grad school, or if you already are in an academic position, if you want to get tenure, or if you want to get promoted, etc. There is this kind of publish or perish mentality. And so where do you find opportunities to get published? I thought I'd talk about that today because I have some suggestions of what I experienced. And so my first tip here is real people, okay? So before you even go online to try to search for things, people that you know, your network, make it clear that you are interested in publishing. So this might be, my advisor, for example, we're working on my dissertation, and he would email me like, hey, I saw this call for paper. It's tied into what you're researching. Thought it might interest you, right? And it wasn't a push to do it. It's not like you must, submit because you need to get published. It was just, hey, I know you do this. Maybe you'd be interested in doing this call for paper, sending in an abstract. And I did, right? And then, so my first chapter in edited collection is coming out next year, because I'm like, you know what, you're right. Like literally one of my chapters can be converted into a submission for this edited collection. They accepted it, I did a bit of revision, and again, now it's gonna be published, fantastic, right? So if you go to a conference in your field, you potentially will have an editor panel. So a panel of editors from different academic journals, and you might ask, hey, like, are you looking for any book reviewers? Because in that case, you potentially can get an in publishing academic book reviews. So I did this a few times myself. You get a free book because you're reviewing it. And so it's a way of building your academic library when you're on a budget, right? Potentially as a grad student. And again, it's a way to get your name out there because you're going to be published in the academic journal. It's also less time consuming than trying to get an article published, for example, because this is just usually 1,000 or so word review of the book. So people, right? Ask them, make them aware that you are interested in publications. And potentially look at like unique opportunities as well. So I researched children's and YA literature with my research focus. And so my old advisor from my master's program reached out to me like, hey, I'm starting this journal for a literacy journal, right? So for librarians, for teachers, for parents. And we're looking for reviewers for actual kids' books. Would you be interested? And I'm like, yes, right? So then that's how I had a few publications in Rise. Because again, my advisor knew, hey, you might be interested in this. If so, let me know. So I think making those connections with real people would be really key. I know I've been quite lucky to have a lot of opportunities through the people that I know. So that's step one, go to your network and make it clear that you're interested. Now, another option here is actually using a call for papers website to find opportunities. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and show you what I mean by this. My go-to website for CFPs is the UPenn website. So I'll have a link below, but basically this is fantastic because as you can see on the left, it's by different categories. And you can search at the top, but I just like going through here. And for example, my area of research is children's literature. So I can click this one and go straight to that list of ones tied to that one. I also do a lot about fan fiction, so fan studies and fandom. I can open up that one. I do a lot about pedagogy in my research, so English education, right? So you kind of just go down the list and see which one's tied to you. So here's pedagogy, popular culture, because again, that's tied to fan fiction. I do a lot of media adaptation work, etc. And so you go down and see, obviously this is very much tied into what I do in the humanities, but there are, a lot of options here to consider. And so you open one up. So for example, here, the children's literature section, and you can just go through and see what potentially strikes your fancy. So the deadline for submissions for this is like literally today. So obviously I would not be doing that. But if you kind of go through, okay, this is October 31st. So that's, enough time. Am I interested in doing something with this particular conference? Let me see. Here's where the conference is taking place, the dates, all that. No, I'm not interested in doing a conference. I want just, a journal, something standalone, edited collection, etc. Okay, keep on going. So here's another one. Due date October 15th. Not bad. And so you just go through, and then whatever one seems particular of interest to you, you can go into it. So let's just say this one here. So this is for book chapters for this particular book. Submission, again, is very soon. So you go through and you have exactly what you need to do in order to be in consideration. So in this case, it's proposals, this many words, this is what it should be included in it. You could also send the completed chapters. So it gives you a list of deadlines for when things will be due, about the editor. So like really a lot of details here. It's just fantastic. So you can just go through, again, in any category that's tied to what you research and see what's up your alley, and you'll have all the information that you need. So again, some of these are tied to conferences, some of them are standalone. So just look for what interests you. So that's my go-to is the UPenn one. But if you do just like Google CFPs, and let's say for a different category, so for physics, anything pop up here? No. Here you go. Physics calls for papers for conferences, workshops, etc. So you can go here and you can go down the list and see what interests you, right? So Google obviously can be your best friend. The library databases at your university potentially, but I again like the UPenn one first. And then a third option is looking at like social media. So that, I know that Twitter was a place where I follow a lot of academics, and so they often share, hey, I'm going to be editing this special collection, this special volume for this journal on this topic. Here's a call for papers. And then they'll share it with, anybody who's following them or who happens to see that particular tweet. And so that's how I ended up getting a publication into Transformative Works and Cultures, which is an online journal. I saw the call for paper for a special edition about pedagogy, and I'm like, yes, this is right up my alley. And so I submitted, and that's how I got my first academic publication that was not a book review. So I do think potentially who you follow online could be very helpful for this as well. Kind of not just people new to potentially grad school if you're a grad student, but also follow scholars that are more advanced in the field who are likely doing edited collections or special editions so that you know when there's an opportunity tied to what interests you and what you research. So those are kind of 3 avenues. I think all of them work really well. Hopefully they work for you too. And again, if you found this video helpful, click like and let me know. Comment if you have your own tips for the publication journey. And I'll see you next time with a new video. Subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that new content.